Hello and welcome back to When the Night Comes. I made you mischief. Let's get back into this very wild alternate route. I can feel eyes upon me, watching, waiting. Though they are kind eyes, the watchful gaze of my friends and allies, tucked safely away in the thick forest. No matter how much I insisted I'd be fine alone, the stubborn bastards wouldn't take no for an answer. So I stand and I wait. I think back to my brief time with James, and all I can hope is that I can make him proud tonight. Then footsteps, a rhythmic crunch, crunch, crunch. And there he stands, bathed in darkness, his sharp gauntlets resting proudly atop the pommel of his sword. He smiles. Are you ready? I step closer to him and I eye his jacket, knowing that the vial rests inside. I am. He makes a show of it, his smile smug like a proud parent as he retrieves it. He holds it high and my stomach churns against the sight of it, knowing that this is the thing that murdered my colleagues. That by proxy murdered James. Harry sighs, gazing at me fondly as he takes my hand in his own, laying the delicate glass in my palm and closing my fingers around it.
A toast, then, to new beginnings.
I will not toast with you. Fuck off. I have to toast with him, unfortunately. He steps away, his hand once again coming to rest upon his sword, and he watches me as I carefully pry the cork free. And I pour the contents onto the ground.
No.
I stand firm when he strides forward, my fingers hovering over my own weapon. I'm here to end this. A manic laugh echoes around the clearing. And what? In my attempt to fix the imbalance in our world? Stop me saving humanity? I thought you better than that, Hunter Adventurous. To waste such a precious opportunity, I'm disappointed. I clench my jaw, willing myself to remain calm.
I still embody the righteousness of our order and the will that protects us all. You trained all those years just to defy the very one that guided you, shaped you.
Yes, I'm gonna beat your ass now, old man. Then he stills, pressing his palm to his chest.
I swear that no night will be traversed in fear, that morning will be a promise and not a hope. I swear I shall lay down my life in the cause of my duty to protect the vulnerable from the creatures of this realm and any beyond it. Until my final breath, I pledge myself to you, body, mind, and soul.
The pledge, the oath that we take before consuming the poison they fed us. The words sound so empty to me now that I know what's become of this order. And yet you never took that oath, did you? You couldn't possibly fathom the weight that those words carry. He drops his hand back to his weapon and he laughs again.
You're right. I am no hunter. I was never worthy, but I have loved a hunter, and I have seen the things they must endure.
I almost want to scoff at him, to laugh in the face of his supposed understanding. He may have loved a hunter, but he killed him too. He surveys me for a second, eyes narrowed, and then he inclines his head. So what now? Do you intend to kill me? Killing me would be against your own precious code, wouldn't it?
Or are you going to get your precious witch to do it for you? Ah, though, dear Ezra wouldn't hurt a fly, would he?
I freeze at the mention of Ezra, fingers tight around my weapon, my knuckles bleeding white. Harry notices and he's pleased with himself. He pouts at me, feigning innocence when he sees the sour look I can't help but offer him. We did just fine killing your failure. He clenches his jaw. I have things to do. Let's just get this over with, shall we?
Final chance. You can still join me. There's more where that came from.
Fuck off. I don't need to hesitate in my response. Never. Calmly, he smiles, flexing his gauntlet. A wounded noise rings out around us, something broken and terrible enough to make me want to cover my ears.
A shame. You would have been magnificent.
The sound his sword makes as he draws it from its sheath is cutting, and the impressive weapon glows to life, emanating a bright golden light. Mental reminder to ask August if they knew about that little surprise. He's fast. Faster than I expected, and now I finally get to see the infamous prowess of Harold Addington III up close. I parry his heavy blows with relative ease, trained to anticipate every move, things far more cunning than him might make. I wonder if he's underestimated me like all enforcers do of their hunters. Then out of the corner of my eyes, I see her. Aya. Branches twist and snap against the weight of her misshapen frame as she pushes through the brush, her maw wide and vicious, teeth snapping as she struggles forward. Harry could catch me off guard, could see my momentary distraction as the perfect opportunity to strike me down, but he stops, staring me down with wild eyes.
Look what you could have. What we could have.
I try to remain unaffected, but confusion and anger twist in my gut. Fuck off, evil Obi-Wan! I am no monster. Harry narrows his eyes at me, fingers tight around the hilt of his sword.
I beg to differ.
With that, he lunges forward and we begin our dance once again. I'm fighting a man I do not want to kill no matter the crimes he's committed, for I am not the monster he wants me to be. I need to subdue him, and fast, because in my peripheral I can see Aya lurking, and I know that Harry doesn't have any semblance of control over her. She can turn on either of us at any moment. Then when Aya does set her crimson eyes upon Harry and me, I see daggers glint in the moonlight. Piper's daggers. She tears from the forest with a battle cry, heading straight for the misshapen creature. She meets each of her lazy attacks with unbidden power, and I try not to let myself become distracted by them, knowing Piper can handle it. Aya isn't one of us, not anymore. The hunter and human within her long dead. All that remains is a husk, all thanks to the man who stands so boldly before me.
So, you did bring your friends. I knew you wouldn't face me alone.
Yeah, dumbass. That would be dumb as hell, wouldn't it? It'd be ridiculous to just go at this alone, unlike you. You brought your giant creature with you. Why would that be fair? I scoff, wiping sweat from my brow with the back of my hand. I see now that you long for us to fight alone because you want us to be disposable and forgettable. You called me here to turn me into a monster, but I made Lunaris my home. That must really piss you off. With clenched teeth and a growl, Harry's carefully crafted composure withers and dies as he hurls forward. He lunges, the tip of his blade pointing towards my chest. I shift to parry his attack. Within that second, however, his body pivots and I see the aim in his misdirection. Quick thinking on his part, but I must be quicker. Sharp steel hums the clash of my weapon against his own, and I can feel the oppressive weight of his desperation trying to blow me down. As soon as I force him back, he strikes at me again. His attacks seem to be without pattern, like a random, unguided flurry, but in those eyes I see a man with deadly calculation. Each blow given means to take a tendon, a weak point, a place not always vital, but just enough to keep me from fighting back. Harry believes us all to be lesser, and therein lies his hubris, his weakness. I can see his confidence soar with every blow that barely finds its intended spot, and he seeks to overwhelm me. I'll continue to enjoy letting him think he can. I cast Piper a glance when I can. The cacophony of battle all around us numbs my ears, but I can still hear her, see her, and feel the thrum of angry adrenaline coursing through her. It's not unlike my own, and, like her, I trust my instincts to guide me. Purposefully, I let my stride waver, become almost haggard, fearful even. I adopt a stance that tries to let the predator think he's weakening his prey, and Harry catches the bait like a moth to the flame. He smirks, another blow.
Come now, Hunter. You made for such a good show before, don't falter now.
Is that what you think? I thought you better than this. How disappointing. I force him back again, and though I make him believe he has the upper hand, Harry is a force to be reckoned with. He mimics the same attempt he made at the beginning, sword to chest, but this time with intent. He doesn't change his direction, and there's renewed force behind it. The blow rattles my bones when the attack connects with my weapon, and his sword reverberates with the magic enchanted into its steel, Harry using the pressure to force me down. His concentration, all pitted against my weapon-wielding side, allows me an opening. Though Harry may be strong, he doesn't account for me being able to hold him back with one arm. My free hand reaches for my concealed dagger, the one given to us by the Academy during initiation, and I seek to implant it in his side. To my surprise, Harry releases one hand from the hilt of his sword, stopping the dagger before it can meet a vulnerable spot. a vulnerable point between his ribs. He grimaces in pain when the dagger's edge slides against his palm, deep crimson slick on silver, and yet he still grips it with fervor. His body trembles, but he grins at me despite it all. Close. Stars flicker behind my eyes when Harry headbutts me, a sickening crack, and I stumble away from him, struggling to regain my footing in the dizzying haze. I barely have time to register his next attack, and the downward swing of his sword knocks my weapon from my hand. He connects a quick kick to my sternum, and I fall to the dirt. I see the man I'm supposed to call my leader, giving himself a moment to relish his triumph. He observes the dagger that bloodied his hand and huffs a tired laugh.
It would have been ironic if I was the one to give this to you. I suppose this will have to do.
He discards it with a shrug and walks toward me. He truly means to kill me. With renewed confidence, he swings his sword with a flourish, a fluid movement that shows his weapon is just another part of him, and now it rushes for me. I breathe deep and try to regain lucidity, but it won't be enough. Just as the blade is about to meet me, it's repelled with a brilliant flash. Fuck him up, August! That haze, the smell, and that aura fills my senses, and I know exactly who it is.
Augustus!
Harry strides backwards as August stalks forward, cracks of magic snapping at him with palpable intensity. He forces back the attacks with the enchantment upon his blade, but it can't stop the overbearing force that shocks his body each time they use their power upon him. I watch August gracefully turn their pain into fury, magic licking across their skin as they weave spell after powerful spell to combat each of his would-be blows while I regain my footing. Their body shakes with lingering static as they finally relax, eyes aglow in the darkness. Harry spits blood, finally faltering to the onslaught, and his body gives way, falling to his knees. August then appears at my side, frantically scanning me for any injuries, but I wave them off, adrenaline still coursing violently through my veins. I'm fine. You're sure? I nod, turning my attention to Harry. He kneels in the dirt, his dusty black coat pooling around him, his right hand red with blood. His breathing is labored, but I know we didn't harm him enough for there to be any immediate threat to his life. I glance over the heap of blood and bones that was once our fellow hunter. Piper kneels beside her, and Ezra holds her tightly as Finn watches in silent support. I see Omen and Ulcar emerge from the forest, and in the tree line a litany of glowing red eyes. The clan. The pain and suffering in this clearing alone is enough to make me furious, enough to warrant this man's death, and yet he looks up at me with those piercing blue eyes.
Just do it!
August rests their hand upon my arm, but I don't want to meet their gaze, afraid of what I might find. Raven. I stare down at him and my lieutenant general, and I remember the taste of it. The vial cold in my palm, an encouraging smile from the enforcer who handed it to me, a child so eager to please and feel loved after being taken from their family. Magic and the blood of other, foreign things coursing through my body, seeping and sinking deep into my bones like an incurable infection. I said my vows and took my oath, and I became theirs. I've been faithful to their cause, all of us have. And this is where it ends. This is where I break it. No matter how long I live, there is one sight, one moment that I could never erase from my mind. Harold Addington on his knees, covered in blood, asking me, no, begging me to end it all. My whole body trembles with the effort of my steps as I follow August into the depths of the dungeon. I'm exhausted, beaten and bruised at the hand of the person who dragged me into this mess, the man who vowed to protect me, to protect us all. August and I do not speak. In fact, I don't think I've spoken since the enforcers burst into that clearing and grabbed their leader by his shoulders, yanking him away from my weapon. Would I have finished him had he asked again, if I had the chance? I suppose I'll never know, but the anger and hurt that I feel are stifling, almost suffocating. August pauses before me, their long fingers curled against the bars of the door that separates us from the line of cells, and I take a deep, shuddering breath. I'm almost scared to look at them because I've seen them cry enough for one lifetime. When they finally do speak, their voice is quiet and strained.
I cannot promise I'll be of much use.
It's okay, August. They nod, drawing in a serrated breath and letting it out slowly. Then they push, iron scraping across the uneven stone as we enter. Every enforcer that lines the seemingly never-ending corridor stands to attention when they see August, and it's now that I realize with Harry chained in his cell that they are the most senior officer in Lunaris. That thought calms me somewhat, to know that amongst all this chaos we are now all in the hands of one of the people I trust the most. Capable hands. even if it is temporary. The loud click of their shoes resumes as they stride past the dungeon guards with purpose, but their eyes are still down, not a trace of the usual authoritative way that they hold themselves. I follow dutifully, a slight limp to my step, every muscle and bone in my body protesting as I move. I can feel the pool of dried blood upon my skin. Not entirely sure if it's his or mine, but I know that he got way more than a few hits in on me. I should probably see Ezra. Soon. August approaches the head guard that is stationed opposite Harry's cell. Has he been any trouble? No, General Willenheim. I mean, Lieutenant. However, he has been talking to himself. August nods at her, turning to face me and running a hand over their face, exasperated.
Let us just get this over with.
August's steps falter as I draw near to the final cell where the man that they once viewed as something akin to a father is contained. I can hear him whispering, his voice soft and lacking the venom that it was steeped with just hours ago. I swear I hear him utter James's name. August closes their eyes, dropping their chin to their chest. They must have heard it too. I wonder if his fallen husband is really with him, or if he's finally lost his mind. Again, August takes a deep breath and looks at me. I nod, stepping closer to show my support is unwavering, and that I'm here, and we approach the bars together. Harry falls silent. He's stripped of his weapon and his enforcer attire, left in nothing but muddy trousers and a blood-stained shirt. Somehow he still manages to look refined, even though the bruises and cuts that litter his handsome face. He sits with his back against the wall, his knees drawn tight to his chest, arms casually slung over them. The golden glint of his wedding ring catches my eye as he twists it around his finger, the sight making my chest hurt even after all that he's done. His cheeks are ruddy, the dirt and blood that is caked upon his skin, streaked with tear tracks, now dried.
I am glad that it will be you, Augustus.
August clears her throat, curling their fingers into fists.
What makes you think that I will show you mercy?
Harry stands, a movement clearly a great effort for him. He grimaces as he straightens up, watching us watch him as he approaches the bars, and his demeanor shifts into something more familiar, something hardened. You were a worthy opponent, Raven. I haven't hurt like this in decades. I ignore him, giving August the floor.
I will ask again. What makes you think that I will show you even a sliver of mercy after all that you've done?
Harry curls his fingers around the bars, his face half illuminated by dull candlelight, half bathed in shadows. He looks older than I remember. Tired, defeated. He studies August, his eyes flickering over their features.
Because you are no murderer.
August snuggles a pleated white where they continue to ball their hands, and it would appear that they don't have a response for him. I step forward as close as I can without the worry that Harry might try something stupid that would result in him receiving a broken arm. And what about me? Am I a murderer? Harry smiles smugly.
If you were, we wouldn't be standing here having this conversation, would we? You had your chance. You hesitated. Hunters do not hesitate.
Just because you're a monster doesn't mean I am. He sighs, leaning forward and pressing his face between the bars.
Oh, but what a wonderful monster you would have made. Such a shame that you were so unwilling to even listen to the offer that I could have made you.
I still don't understand what you hope to achieve. After all of your failures, the lack of control you had over those beasts. Harry chuckles, pouting.
Augustus, do not speak ill of your subordinates.
Be quiet.
Yeah, tell him to shut the fuck up, August. Magic skitters across their skin for the briefest moment, a flash of indigo that lights up the dark space that surrounds us. Harry doesn't flinch, doesn't so much as blink.
You don't get to do that. You don't get to speak of them as if they were anything other than disposable to you.
August turns to me, their expression softening.
The decision is yours. He doesn't deserve to have me show him any mercy. Therefore, his fate is in your hands.
They pause, and then they walk away from him, leaning against the wall that separates his cell and the next. They're out of his sight, but I can see them clear as day. I look at my friend, at my enforcer. I almost loathe to be the one to make this decision, but August deserves a reprieve from this. I nod at them, and Harry's smile fades. The one that I called here to serve as my greatest creation is the one who finally decides my fate. Beautiful, I suppose. It's all coming full circle. I'm sorry my British accent is so inconsistent. I haven't done it in so long, and it's really bad now. It's way worse than it used to be, I promise. I watch the bob of his throat as he swallows, his eyes fixed upon me and only me. I gave him a trial last time, but I think he needs to just stay the fuck in there. I'm extra mad at him this time, and I want to do things different. I can truly see no option where everyone wins. If I sent him to die, I'm as bad as him. He killed people, yes, and his actions are unforgivable, but to kill him would be a crime in itself. It is not only something that my name would be forever associated with, but something that would hurt August. I find myself thinking of James, too. Though he wanted Harry brought to justice, he would not want harm to come to him. Not now we have him. I'm sure we'll have to come up with some story about why the widely loved Lieutenant General of Ezra has stepped down from his post. Having to explain why his head is no longer attached to his body would be a little trickier. Tell the people what he's done would only scare them, and they are scared enough by the inhuman things that walk the earth that we're sworn to protect them from. We need them to trust us, not to think that the ones who guard them can hurt them too. You'll remain in chains for the rest of your life. You will get no trial, no chance to explain and redeem yourself. Out of the corner of my eye, I see August turning and walking away. I listen to the echo of their footsteps getting quieter as they disappear before I look at Harry again. Harry looks at me as though he's almost disappointed. Is that it? I gather that you wanted me to kill you if what you said back in the clearing is anything to go by. I will not give you what you wish for. Instead, you will live a miserable life of solitude. Maybe it'll give you a chance to think about all the things you've done. I turn away from him, readying myself to walk out of these dungeons and never see his face again. We all have to live with the consequences of your actions. So shall you. As I begin to move away, I hear a loud bang, fists hitting metal, then maniacal laughter. A sound that follows me long after I push open the exit door and feel cold air upon my face. I find August in their office, standing before the window that overlooks Lunaris. The town is peaceful at this hour, the townsfolk tucked safely in their beds. I quietly approach, almost not wanting to disturb them. You did so well, Raven.
I am infinitely proud of you and happy to call you my subordinate, though I'm sure I've valued your guidance far more than you valued mine in your time here.
Impossible, Lieutenant. August grimaces, but I see a smile curling at the corner of their lips.
Temporary, Lieutenant. Don't get too excited. When the other higher-ups arrive to assess the situation, I may very well be out of a job entirely.
That would be a crime in itself. You've done far more for Lunaris than Harry ever did. You will do more. Your smile is genuine, but they look exhausted as I feel.
You're kind, but I know these people. Besides, I cannot bring myself to think of anything other than passing out in my bed right now, as should you.
Go. I'm sure you want to catch up with Ezra, and I suggest you get him to check you over, too. You look pasty. I think you're probably right. I reach for the handle of the door, pausing before I step outside. Good night, August, and thank you for everything. They smile again, turning to look back over their town. It's freezing when I step outside, headquarters quiet and dark behind me, the streets even darker in front. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for the journey to the magic shop on limbs that seem to be protesting further with every step, but a pretty witch appears from the shadows, almost as if I wished him up. A pretty worried witch. His hands are glowing seafoam green before I even get the chance to open my mouth, the warm relief of his magic sinking bone deep as it begins to seek out every injury I might have sustained. Ezra.
Just let me before you say another word, okay?
I'm helpless to his eyes, especially when they're glowing, so totally at his mercy, I relax and let him do his work. The way he lights up when he's casting always takes my breath away, his magic flowing over his rusted skin in perfect curling vines, making him look like some otherworldly being. I wouldn't even be shocked if flowers started blooming around us, right at our feet. I can't help but smile as I watch him as he alleviates every single horrible, persistent ache and pain. It's like clutching a warm cup of cocoa in front of a warm fire after being out in the snow all day, like gentle kisses trailing your naked spine. It's heaven, just like him. Eventually the glow of his magic dissipates and he steps closer, taking my hands in his. His hands are trembling.
I was worried sick.
I'm okay, even more so now. He smiles relieved, and he quickly tugs me in a tight, almost crushing embrace. Strong for a witch. I curl my fingers in his tunic and breathe the wonderfully clean scent of him in, the subtlest scent of incense clinging to his curls. I'm fine, I promise. He pulls back, still sure to hold on to me. It's the best thing I've seen since I thought I might not see anything ever again.
I hated it. Every minute of it.
I didn't really enjoy it all that much either. He grimaces, missing my playful tone.
Shit. Sorry. Of course you didn't.
Then he rubs my arms, eyeing the dirtied fabric of my clothing and definitely thinking about spelling them clean.
Finn had to hold me back at one point. I was ready to run into action.
He smirks.
I might have even zapped him. Just a little.
I laugh at the mischievous, almost smug look he throws me. You don't seem too sorry about that.
It wasn't the first time, and I'm sure it won't be the last.
His smile softens and he takes my hands.
Come with me tonight. The person who saved Lunaris shouldn't have to sleep on a bed of concrete.
That sounds nice. He looks exhausted from healing me, from worrying about me, and I feel an immense guilt wash over me. I realize that ever since I came to town, all we've done is worry. I want to make that up to him. He deserves it, maybe more than anyone, for staying so kind and calm throughout all of this, for being there for every single one of us no matter what. And then I realize that maybe I like to keep making up to him, that maybe I don't ever want to be away from him if I can help it. To hold him if his edges are fraying as mine have been, to stop him unraveling in the ways I did. What if I stayed with you, permanently? He started walking, dragging me along by the hand, but that makes him stop and spin, his eyes wide. He opens his mouth, but no words come out. Instead he laughs, but it's not the kind of laugh that you worry about. It's one of pure, unadulterated joy. Then Ezra practically throws himself at me, burying his nose against my neck, his arms tight around my waist, and certainly no longer concerned about any broken bones. He mumbles his response against my skin. For fuck yes. Once I'm overhearing Ezra say fuck, I carefully pry him away just a little, and I press my mouth to his. It feels like we're stealing a promise. His hands are in my hair, and mine are in his, and we kiss until Enforcer clears her throat loudly as they pass us by. I didn't ask you. I'm gonna make out with my mans. Go away. Ezra's cheeks are pink from the cold or the being caught, I'm not sure, but it's beautiful nonetheless. But maybe we should go home and do that. I fix his mess of curls, tucking a particularly unruly one behind his ear. Home? He beams and my heart soars. 3 months later. I'm sorry I have to do the SpongeBob narrator voice. I wake up and feel warmer than I think I possibly ever have. There's something fluffy on my feet, something fluffy that moves. I watch the sheets shift, and then a small white face peeks out from beneath them. Meow. Good morning to you two. She waltzes around in a few little circles, and she curls up right on my shoulder like she thinks she's a parrot. Cats do that. They're weird little guys. I scratch her chin, and her purring is obscenely loud, her shining blue eyes closing in her bliss. I stare at the ceiling for a little bit, the enchanted lights that hang above our bed, flickering softly. I think I've asked myself if this is what heaven feels like almost every morning for the last few months. Like every morning. I'm pretty sure it is. I can hear Ezra humming downstairs, the sound of plates clacking and the kettle whistling. A few moments later, the door creaks open and Coco dashes away, her tail curling as she darts downstairs. Ezra rolls his eyes as she passes, setting down the breakfast tray he's carrying upon the dresser. I spot a small vase with a spray of pretty blue flowers that seem to thrum with light, and I don't think that I've seen before. That's just what sharing a home with him is like, a wonderful adventure full of little curiosities. He smiles at me as he settles upon the bed beside me, reaching over to fix my messy bed head.
Did you sleep well?
I always sleep well now. He hums, curling up beside me a lot like Coco just did.
That is what happens when you stop sleeping on a pile of rocks. So, today is the day. How are you feeling?
I think for a moment, my mind going blank. How am I feeling? Today I'm going to stand in front of Lunaris, in front of people who view me as a hero, in front of my found family, and I'm going to become Lieutenant General of Escria. Well, of the Hunters anyway. Because we've made some changes. I take a deep breath because shit, that's a lot of responsibility, isn't it? Between August Piper and I, we've basically reformed the agency, or at least we've started to, with very little support from the faceless higher-ups. I just want to do a good job, to do right by all the people like me who've had their lives messed with. Ezra takes both of my hands in his, sitting on his knees beside me with a stern look on his pretty face.
As if anything could possibly get in your way. All the things that tried aren't here anymore, are they?
I laugh. He is right. We make a pretty scary team. I stare at him for a moment, feeling like I really did win some kind of cosmic prize. I'm so lucky to have you, Ezra. His cheeks turn a lovely shade of pink when I rub my thumb over the back of his hand. And I you. I reach out and tenderly take his cheek between forefinger and thumb. He smiles when I guide him closer, as drawn to me as I am to him, both of us gravitating towards each other until we meet in the middle, a melding of lips. Soft, pliant, warm. He slowly climbs into my lap, his legs to either side of my waist, and the silk of his robe slips through my fingers when I curl them against it. I know people joke about witches being descendants of angels, but there really is nothing funny about how otherworldly Ezra is. Sometimes his fingertips even glow in his sleep. I smile against his lips when I think about it, and he pulls away, laughing when he feels my mouth curl at the corners. What's so funny? Nothing. Everything. I don't let him slip away, holding him closer and kissing him harder. He arches against me, and I hit my head against the wall, but I don't care. I don't care about anything other than this at this moment, actually. If this really is my life now for good, then I must have done something extraordinary to deserve him. I hold him and kiss him until we really do need to part, until I remember that I have somewhere pretty important to be. More specifically, that I'll have to face August's wrath if I carry on losing myself in Ezra. I groan, making my annoyance evident, but Ezra simply rolls his eyes and shoos me out of the comfort of our bed.
Go on, get dressed. Nothing is worth August glaring at you all day.
I beg to differ. You are definitely worth it. He climbs off the bed with a bounce in his step, waving his hands over the breakfast tray with a flourish, light pouring from his palms, leaving the stone-cold tea and toast steaming hot. He then comes close and presses a kiss to my cheek before grabbing his clothes from the drawer, winking as he heads for the bathroom.
I need to wash up and open up the shop. I'll see you later, Lieutenant.
The way the word rolls off his tongue, I think I could get used to it. I love you. He disappears out of the door, and I hear him responding, his voice a song. I love you too. Though my head is relatively clear, I decide to go for a little walk. I've been back to the scene of my clash with Harry a few times now, mainly because I hope that I might get to speak to James again, or maybe just have a sign that he's still here, that he's okay. I think of him often. I believe he was there with me that night, a lingering presence that pushed me to win, to not give up. I still can't help but wonder what he thinks of Harry now. Was he really there in that cell talking to him on that day? Or maybe he's finally passed over from whatever in between he was stuck in. I hope. It's summer in Lunaris now, but there's still a chill in the air, and the grass is crisp beneath my boots as I step into the clearing. Maybe it's just the passing of seasons, but it feels like life is breathing back into this small town. Everything feels easier. Harry still resides in the dungeons beneath Lunaris, serving out his sentence in the place he tried to destroy amongst people he tried to ruin. Long gone are the enforcers who insisted him, regardless of if they claimed to have been coaxed or threatened into helping. There are no excuses for what they did. I'm yet to visit it again, but maybe I never will. But I know August has a few times. They pity him, I think, even after everything. I don't question them on it. I take a deep breath, crouching down to press my fingers to the still scorched earth. Apparently things don't grow back if they've been touched by August's magic. I decide this is the last time I'll come here. Feels freeing. On my way to visit Ezra, I decided to stop by the Ibex to check in with our favorite creepy duo. Aurora has laid low since Harry's downfall. She's probably thoroughly disappointed that I didn't succumb to his nefarious plan and turn into an unidentifiable monstrosity. Maybe she would have thought it charming, or maybe even wanted to date me. Not at all strange or unnerving. I walk towards the dais, the air a little warmer here than I remember, the sun shining through the cracked windows and illuminating the lectern. There stands Armorus, as coy as ever, and quite obviously making point to avoid my eye contact in the hope that I'll not notice him, I assume. Hunter Adventurus, Hello, Armoress. He takes a deep breath and steps into the aisle, his hands clasped politely in front of him. Can I help you with anything? I shrug, not really knowing why I'm here. I was just passing by. Is Aurora about? His mouth twists, his pale blue eyes darting to the side. Considering his sister is so very good at not giving anything away, Armoress has absolutely no subtlety about him. She left. Left? Left where? He tilts his head, making eye contact. Left Lunaris. I see. Any particular reason? He sighs and gestures for me to follow him. We sit in the pews in the first row, and Armoress leans back, tipping his head and gazing up at the domed ceiling. I imagine it was so beautiful here once. Then he sits up, fixing his jacket and frowning, twisting slightly to face me. I dutifully followed my sister my whole life, you know. We lost our parents to vampires at 14. But even before then, Aurora was fascinated by creatures. She would sneak out at night and seek them out in the graveyard behind our estate. I began to lose count of how many times I saved her, always dragging her out of the way with claws or teeth. They didn't try to kill you? Your parents? He shakes his head, looking down at his hands where they rest in his lap. They didn't get the chance. Hunters came not long after they rose from their graves. Aurora was there. She saw everything. She truly believed that they wouldn't have harmed her. So that's where Aurora's resentment for us comes in. I almost pity her. Almost. You never seem to be on board with her beliefs, so I continue to follow her. Armoress laughs. It's a pleasant sound, and he looks like a different man, lighter somehow. I've never had anyone else. I love my sister, Raven. Despite your eccentricities, I never wanted any harm to come to her. I am a patient man, and I would follow her to hell and back if required. But... He laughs again. Ah, yes. But I've always wanted my own life. I have that now with Elaine. His pale cheeks turn bright pink the second her name leaves his lips. It's adorable. You're in love with her. He nods, his mouth curling into a soft smile. I'm going to ask her to marry me. I'm going to ask Satan's daughter to marry me. I told my sister and she fled town. I can't help but laugh, but I feel impossibly rude the second the noise erupts. I cover my mouth with my hand, but Armoress is laughing too. You'd think she'd be thrilled to have the Princess of the Hells as her sister-in-law, wouldn't you? You would, yes. But then my sister has always been full of surprises. She'll be back, though. We've never been apart for more than a day or two at most. I think she's just reassessing her life and her choices. Hopefully. Well, I'm happy for you, Armoress. Just please don't start trying to terrorize our nice, nearly peaceful town, okay? He blushes again, nodding as if I wasn't joking. Well, I kind of wasn't, I guess. I swear it. We both turn at the sound of the entrance doors creaking open, and there stands Elaine, silhouetted by sunlight. I look at Armoress, the way his face lights up is at the way he quickly stands and brushes non-existent dust from his trousers and tucks his blonde hair behind his ears. Raven, it's lovely to see you. The demon offers me a curtsy and smiles sweetly, her brown eyes flickering curiously between Armoress and me. She must sense his mood and places a delicate hand upon his arm, which he immediately covers with his own. Where is Aurora, Army? Well... I decided that's my cue to give them some privacy. The news that Aurora fled will be startling, but I imagine his proposition will be even more so. I have to go. I need to prepare for tonight. Armoress nods in silent thanks. I wish you well. You stop by any time, won't you? An olive branch, maybe even the start of a new relationship between us and whatever is left of the Ibeck. I'm interested to see what it will become under Armoress's lead. Or if it will become anything at all. Goodbye and congratulations. Woman tells me that you're transforming later. New beginnings and forms are always wonderful. I stifle a smile, assuming that both she and Omen still have the wrong idea about what the ceremony entails. I do hope he isn't disappointed when I don't sprout wings. Thank you, Elaine. Armoress? I feel their eyes upon me as I leave, though for the first time I feel it isn't out of scrutiny, but likely for the polite peace they need before excited anxiety blooms between two lovers. When I step into the street, Omen immediately appears, whipping around to face me. His movement so sharp I have to step back and raise my hands warily. I have no doubt he would never hurt me, but still. Not that it takes words or even my senses to see the demon prince is well rattled. There's a sharp pinch to Omen's brow, and flame wisps trail at his hair. Noticing me staring, though, some of that fades away. Owen smiles sheepishly. Sorry. A respectful distance away, Alcar shorts and straightens from where he's been leaning against a wall. He gingerly pats Owen on the back. It's fine. Are you alright? Part of me wonders if it's another earth-shattering problem about to roll into town. I'm definitely not fucking ready for that. It would certainly be poetic to have my promotion crashed right here, right now, but I don't want to get caught between the next big thing and August's rage if the ceremony is postponed. My unease must have been evident, because even as Owen opens his mouth to answer, Alcar laughs. Elaine's getting married. What? Onmers plans to do that thing mortals do. Propose. Yes! Oh, that. It occurs to me that maybe Elaine has been speaking to Owen about it before she arrived at the Ibeck. Clearly he's not half as excited at the prospect as either Armorus or his sister. Owen wrings his hands together, and I'm not sure how I feel when I realize he's more worried than angry. She'll say yes, this is a very exciting thing for her, I'm sure, to enter a sort of contract with a human. But humans are not good with promises. Not to say you're not, Raven. Behind him, Alcar rolls his eyes fondly and shakes his head. He places a hand on Omen's shoulder reassuringly, and I do the same on the other shoulder. Elaine is in good hands, Omen. Good, careful hands and heart. I haven't forgotten the sliver of her true power she permitted me to glimpse in the Ibeck that day, but I have a feeling Armorus knows exactly what he's dealing with. Armorus is no fool and never undervalue an oath or a pact. In fact, I'm sure he's well aware of what he's getting into. Trust me, I've interrogated him enough to know. Besides, it would be unlike Elaine to involve herself with someone who is even remotely ignorant, yes? Omen sighs, but then he gives me an inquisitive look. You and Elaine have talked much, then? In a sense, she had thoughts that she shared with me. Of course, it isn't her I worry for. She's capable, and as you said, not likely to care about ignorant mortals. I nod sagely, though I must confess, it's nice to know that after everything, Omen seems genuinely concerned for Armorus' well-being. That he seems genuinely concerned for humans, period. I'm sorry, it's a big shaken. He glances at Alcar uncertainly, he purses his lips in thought. Big shocker. Yes, but don't mistake my alarm for unhappiness or disapproving. Maybe this is the best way. Elaine and I have shared many things, our histories, our lives, our souls once, but it's rare for her to engage with mortals as I do. Owen frowns at me, inclining his head. But I take it you'll watch them. Yes. There's little use lying about it. Short as it is to say, I'm glad that the Princess of Hell decided to pick a man right under our eyes to involve herself with. And not just in our own defense. We live by our blades, but living is so much more than killing and dying. This peace we've forged together, I want to preserve it. Raven will be watching all of us, and honestly, I think you've got your work cut out for you, Lieutenant General. I'm not Lieutenant General yet.
In a few hours you will be. And I'm glad it's you. After all, imagine what it would have been like if Piper got it instead. Ugh.
Now that's a thought. But I'm sure you're glad that isn't the case. Yeah, she'd have done fine. She cares about this town and its stupid problems more than she makes it sound like. And we've all been here anyway, eh? Elcar nudges Omen. The demon blinks and shudders as though waking from a dream. There's a shift in the air around him that I noticed. The same sense of movement like when somebody snatches back their hand. You were talking with Elaine? Yes. He sighs and wrings his hands together again. She wants my thoughts on things. I need to talk to her as soon as possible. Immediately. He stares in the distance and claps his hand over Alcar, still resting it on his shoulder after all this time, and slips away. I will see you later, okay? He sketches a short but grateful bow, then walks briskly to the nearest alleyway. I shake my head as his presence retreats with supernatural speed. As soon as he's gone, Alcar chuckles. Betcha anything, Elaine's gonna rope him to helping him pick color themes for the wedding. Good for her. And my entire department will have a meeting tomorrow on how to handle this goddamn beloved miraculous town chock full with wonders such as not one but two powerful demons among them, one of whom is getting married to a human, one that once held a cult against our kind. Fucking Lunaris. I can imagine how not happy August will be to hear about it, but what can you do? What can a Lieutenant General do, indeed? I look up to see Alcar watching me. His smirk widens into a grin, though, and he inclines his head, wolf ears twitching. Get going before Willenheim tears down half the town looking for you, being 10 minutes late. Oh, most certainly. See you later, Alcar. Aye, aye, General. Elcar walks backward until he too disappears the way Omen went, giving me one last shit-eating grin and that ever-endearing half-arsed wave. Ezra's shop is busy, a line of townsfolk impatiently waiting outside. I decide to sneak in the back door to avoid unavoidable conversations. In the kitchen, I find Finn and Elcar arm wrestling? I literally just saw you? Elcar quickly turns his head and frowns at me.
And what about it?
How did you get here so fast? He ignores me, concentrating too hard on making sure Finn doesn't snap his arm off, I assume. I roll my eyes and pull up a chair, smirking as I watch Elcar's arm shake. Finn quirks one of those dark brows at me and winks. He always insists I use my prosthetic. Silly of him, don't you think? Elcar growls, his face turning beet red with the effort. Shut up, mosquito man. I'd win in a second if you used your normal one. Finn and I share a knowing look seconds before he slams Elcar's fist into the table, the fine china upon it clinking loudly with force. There might even be a dent in the wood from the impact. 4-0. Wanna go again? He wiggles his iron fingers, the magic in them flickering teasingly. Then Ezra appears, his arms folded across his chest, and I don't think I've ever seen Finn move so fast.
Hey, what have I told you two about doing that in here?
You're gonna wreck Ezra's shit. It's rude. You go ruin the furniture in the tavern.
They won't let us.
Oh, really? I do wonder why. He pointedly looks at the ridge in his lovely little table and back between the wolf and the vampire.
No more. Don't you have some important vampire business to attend to? And Elcar, well, I don't know what you could possibly have to do, actually.
Elcar thinks. Elcar huffs and puffs, sliding down in his chair and crossing his arms. I look over at Ezra and see how hard he's trying to stop my... I'm sorry, I keep flubbing today. I'm seeing how hard he's trying to stop himself from smiling as Finn and Elcar begin to bicker. He's so fond of them, of all of us in this weird group of misfits and weirdos, and shit, he has the patience of a saint. I stand and leave them both squabbling over the table. Busy today? He takes the hand I offer and nods. He looks frazzled.
Obscenely. I say I'm closing an hour early and everyone thinks I'm going to skip town. I should probably get back.
Do you need help? He quickly shakes his head, running his fingers over the front of my jacket. No, you have enough going on today. Go, I'll be fine. He rises onto his tiptoes and presses a kiss to my cheek. He then throws Finn and Elcar a very pointed glare over my shoulder, and they both wither under his emerald gaze, immediately shutting up. The lavender curtain parts and he's gone. I turn to look at them and laugh at the pitiful sight. Don't you two have somewhere better to be? They look at each other and shrug at exactly the same time, Elcar prodding Finn's chest with his thumb.
Mr. Walking Combustible here can't go to the wolf until the sun goes down, can he? So no. Clearly I need better friends. Less flammable ones who don't ruin my drinking time.
Finn swats him away and growls, which only seems to egg Elcar
I
on.
actually do have somewhere I need to be. So, sorry, but I can't babysit you.
Go and find your demon and bug him instead.
You're as boring as you are old.
Lady. Prat. I tilt my head and grin at him. Do you actually have somewhere to be? He smiles.
No, I was just going to go home and find something fancy to wear for your special moment.
Will it have buttons?
Absolutely not.
Of course not. He's gotta have his chesticles exposed at all times, don't you know? After Ezra's headed home to get changed. After Ezra's, I headed home to get changed in my new uniform. But I am home. Consider. I've never had to wear one before, and I suppose I don't now, but I want to show people who I am and what I do to show them that I'm here to protect them and that I am proud to do so. August decided to redesign our sash. It's blue to represent stability, trust, wisdom, and most importantly, loyalty. As I walk through Lunaris bathed in black and gold and sky blue, I feel a sense of renewal, of change and pride. There are people setting up outside headquarters for the ceremony. Hunters and enforcers pour out of every room as I head down the corridors towards August's office, all of them with smiles plastered on their faces. I gently tap on the door and it immediately swings open. Piper is standing there grinning at me, dressed in her new uniform. Whoa. She's so fancy. Piper snorts and does a little spin showing off. You like it? I step inside, closing the door behind me. You look amazing, General. Then I see August. Oh, shit. They appear from behind their desk, and suddenly I feel horribly underdressed. Also very fancy. Everyone's so fancy today. I love it. You love to see it. You both look incredible. You too, Lieutenant. They gesture at the papers that adorn their desk. Shall we?
We need to come to an agreement on all of this, and fast. I have an hour until my speech, and I'd quite like to not fuck it up.
Let August say fuck. Let August say fuck. Piper rests her elbows on her knees and her chin in her hands as she squints down the pages of elegant script.
You know exactly what I don't agree with. Everything else is fine.
August and I share a look. They seem upset over knowing what thing Piper disagrees with, and I know that I don't exactly feel much excitement over it either. I speak before they get the chance. Fuck the initiation. We cannot continue to mutate innocence. We need to find a new way to defend Escria. August glares at me, but I continue. Would I have known what they were doing to me, I would have refused.
August, I appreciate that you think it's necessary, and I know that doesn't come from a bad place, but...
Unless I do a slightly more evil route, I don't see myself agreeing with the initiation. Sorry.
I don't have the right. I could never understand how it feels. Witches are born with their magic. It is not inflicted upon them.
They sit in their chair and run their hand over their face. They're tapping their fingers against their lips. If Harry could find a way to manipulate it, then we can find a way to as well. We both look at her like she's lost the plot. She huffs.
Oh, hush. You know what I mean. I'm not talking about making monsters. I'm talking about finding a way to make us strong without making us monsters.
How? Wouldn't they have done that already? Pepper bursts out laughing. August finally stops tapping their lip and raises their brow at her.
You really think they'd do some actual work and research when they have what they need already? No way. They get free blood from the monsters they kill. And they get their little army of mini-monsters too.
She's right. There must be another way. Pepper, clearly ready to violently refute whatever they say, sits slack-jawed. You agree with me? August shrugs.
I don't exactly thrill at the idea of all the extra work it would bring us. Me, specifically. But it would be worth it. Worth making sure that what we do is fair and ethical. Or at least as much as it can be under such extreme circumstances.
I agree. We are fighting a war and must do whatever we can to ensure our survival, but that doesn't mean we should sacrifice our humanity to do so. With that, August sits back and pulls a clean piece of parchment from their drawer. They pick up their quill and begin to write. When they're finished, the three of us sign it and a new role is born. We will do whatever we can to leave behind the barbaric ways of our predecessors. Piper rubs her hands together almost greedily, and I'm beginning to think she's lying about not liking this diplomatic bullshit. She's good at it, too. Now our second task.
The creatures. Our relationship with them right now is perilous at best. Even the ones that bring no harm don't really like us that much. And they're more than essential to our survival as an agency that actually succeeds.
Can't blame them, really. Harry was out there kidnapping and killing even the good ones. Raven, what do you think? Stronger alliance. There's no question about it when it comes to our relationship with the creatures. We have to do everything we can to fix the fractures Harry's caused, and as you said, they're essential. See, this stuff at the end, I don't see myself picking anything different. I'm sorry if that's what y'all wanted to see when I replayed this, but that's tough. I feel icky. I feel kind of icky picking other shit. Then I paused, carefully considering my next words. Have you ever thought about giving the creatures work? Have you ever thought about having creatures working within the agency? They both stare at me like I've lost my fucking mind, just as I expected them to. You're saying we should shove some lycans and some demons in our uniforms and off they pop? You're mental. August says nothing and just keeps staring at me. I know it sounds ridiculous, but there are creatures out there who want peace just as much as we do. Creatures who have enough power to actually convince others of their kind to either join us or leave us alone. A representative, maybe. A representative, maybe. Not a new branch. Just creature relations. Someone to be our liaison when required. Piper looks like her eyes are going to drop out of her skull. She has them so wide.
I cannot believe you're actually thinking about this.
She doesn't sound angry, just tired. I get it. It's not ideal, I know, but we can find other ways to lessen the attacks on our kind, then why the hell not? We just put strict rules in place and ensure that they have too much to lose if they betray us. August eyes Piper, who has fallen strangely silent. I think she knows that this will be good for us, despite her personal views on the matter. She nods. I'll sign. August offers her a small smile and picks up their quill. We all sign once again, ready to tackle our final conflict. Now we discuss you. Both of you. Piper and I share a glance as she sits a little straighter in her chair. I think that sometimes Piper truly does forget how important August is about to become.
Hunters have long been governed by us, the enforcers. I personally feel like that is unfair, because what the hell do we know about putting our lives on the line, right?
You know. They look at her, tilting their head in question.
You know, August, you've gotten your hands dirty more times than any of those other pencil pushers. I'll never have a better partner.
August's expression softens. They almost look like they might cry, or at least think about crying. I had no idea you felt that way. Piper scuffs her boots on the floor, looking anywhere but at August. Yeah, well, after everything that happened, I blocked it out. I'm sorry, Piper, about all of it.
I promise to do better by you, which is why I'm proposing that we create a new hierarchy, or rearrange our current one at least. Many enforcers aren't fit to dictate what higher-ranking hunters do. They're more concerned with politics than they are with the safety of our people.
Take those decisions out of the hands of those who value bureaucracy above all else, and in the hands of those who are literally created to know how to save lives. Within reason, yes. I will need to consider this a little more carefully. It's complicated, and I'll value both your inputs. Piper grins at me.
Can't believe it's taken the agency this long to realize it.
Yes, well, a fresh start. Now we should go. They'll be waiting for us. August stands and fixes their uniform, fiddling with the end of their braid. They're nervous. August, you have nothing to worry about. I just don't want to let anyone down. His shadow lingers over me. No, it doesn't. None of them know what he did, and we won't either. As far as they're concerned, this is natural progression, and it is. Despite all that Harry did, it would still be you standing up there if he stood down gracefully. Piper creeps closer and rests her hand upon August's shoulder. Raven is right. You deserve this, and I can't imagine it being anyone else. August inhales and then exhales sharply. Let's go. It passes in a blur. I watch Piper get her title back, the highest-ranking hunter in Lunaris after me. She smiles the whole time, staring out into the crowd as I cheer for her. She's given extra honors for her involvement in the Harry investigation. None of these people who clap and grin for us know what really happened, but they don't care. All they care is that they're safe. I step up to the podium and listen to August talk, but it feels like I'm underwater, like everything is muffled and far away. A few weeks ago, when I was told I'd been offered this position, August pulled me aside and asked me if I wanted the responsibility, and I asked them, why me? I expected them to shrug and respond with why not, but they didn't. They said that Harry targeted me for a reason, for my stats and my kill count, but August began to see from the moment that we started working together that Harry had it all wrong. That I'm so much more than the strength I have in the lives I take, and that Harry never accounted for all the human parts of me. That I'm determined, that I want to fight to survive even when the odds are stacked against me. That I am human above all else, despite the inhuman blood that runs through my veins. So as August pins that badge to my coat and ties my sash around my waist, I remember those words and I smile and wave at the gathering crowd, swearing to protect them no matter what. I see familiar faces out there: Finn, Ezra, Alcar, Raven, and Lux. Even Edna left the wolf to grimace at me from afar. I've made Lunaris my home somehow, after never really having one before. Ezra finds me quickly when the formalities are over, his eyes alight, and he looks like nothing I've ever seen. I take his hand and he twirls around, laughing as I admire the golds and dreamy blues of his outfit. Just for me?
Of course. August helped me pick it out. Do you like it?
Very much so. I reel him in and enjoy the flush that paints his cheeks when I press a kiss to the corner of his mouth. You're beautiful as always. He stares at me for a moment, then he squeezes my hands and begins to lead me away.
Come on. I want to take you somewhere nice.
The market is bustling as Ezra and I wander hand in hand, his face light as we peruse the colorful stalls. His grip on me tightens each time he sees something he likes, and the air is crisp and fresh, the smell of cinnamon and coffee filling my nostrils. It brings me back to the Lunar Festival, back to where all of us truly went to shit. It feels like we've all come full circle. I'm no longer wary of who watches us, a glance of familiar black and gold uniforms in the crowd now putting me at ease instead of causing my stomach to lurch. It feels incredible to know I can savor this moment with Ezra, a dose of normalcy amongst all the chaos we've endured. He turns to me, his smile wide, and he grabs the front of my coat and pulls me close. Let's go buy something. I laugh at his excitement, the way his emerald eyes shine almost wildly in the darkness makes my heart stutter. He takes my hand again, dragging me over to a stall. Watching him like this makes me realize just how grateful I am to have him in my life. We've come through it all together, pushed through the other side with our hearts and minds intact. His eyes widen almost comically, and I turn to see what's caught his attention. Flowers, hundreds of them in varying colors and sizes, including some some of them I don't know I even knew existed. The smell as we draw nearer is intoxicating, and Ezra is practically vibrating as he reaches out and runs his fingers along some particularly velvety blue petals. They glow under his touch, leaning towards him as if he's the sun. What are those? What are these? The vendor smiles and begins to pluck some of the blooms from their display. Here, take some. They like you. They pass the little bouquet to me, and I nod in thanks, trying to present them to Ezra. He reaches for them, but I pull them away playfully. Wait. He watches and smiles as I neatly arrange them amongst his curls. He's so cute. There, perfect. He reaches up to feel what I've done, laughing as the flowers spring into life once again, the petals practically dancing. They shine so brightly, just like him, and I find myself awestruck. Breathtaking. They really do like you. Tiny flecks of magic glimmer and float off the petals. A crown of light for the man I love. He reaches for me, and I almost think he's going to reel me in for a dance, but instead he kisses me on the cheek. Come on, let's go to the beach. He inclines his head towards the edge of the market where the sea sparkles beneath the low-hanging moon, and I follow him without question. Such a beautiful night, a perfect canopy of obsidian stretched out above us, a messy cluster of stars pulsing and fading. I take a deep breath as Ezra comes to a stop before me, squeezing my hand. He's looking out at the ocean too, and I find myself transfixed by him instead.
I used to wonder what I'd done in my life to deserve the things that happened to me when I was young. Losing my father, what happened with Gus, everything that transpired here. I thought that if I pushed all of my anger aside and helped people instead, that things would be better.
He smiles.
I've found happiness before, of course, but I can't remember ever feeling bliss like this. With you.
The waves slap against the shoreline, the perfect gentle background noise to our little moment. I take his face in my hands and look deeply into his eyes. I love you so much, Ezra. I'm excited that I get to start fresh here with you. He places his hands on top of mine, holding it against his cheek.
I'm excited too.
Then I kiss him as if it were the very first time. Maybe it is a little, the first time where everything feels like it's going to be okay. He kisses me back, his hand resting at the nape of my neck, his lashes long against his dark cheeks. I smile against his lips and he smiles too, then everything else seems to fall into place. The end. So, okay, so that's the end of the game. I am not sure how to access the DLC, but we will try to if we can. But we will try to play the DLC next time. I have played the mini stories before, but I played them with Fins Are Out, so if y'all would like me to play those again, I absolutely can. Thank you so much for checking out this series, for checking out this game with me a second time. If you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the series, if you enjoyed my commentary, if you enjoyed my narration, my little voices, what have you, feel free to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Maybe leave a comment if you're feeling generous. Maybe recommend a series or my channel to someone you think would enjoy it. I wouldn't mind that one bit. thank you all so much, and I will see you in the next video, which will probably be some more of this, some little mini stories and DLC. So until next time, I will see you all later. Goodbye.